Welcome back. Well, we are headed out of this world, literally.
In an environment that was never originally designed for humans, or humans were not designed for this environment. Such a special place to live. You know, we're not up here visiting space, we are up here living in space. If you told me that I was born here and everything on Earth was just a dream, that I might almost start believing you, because we are so at home up here, and that is something so special that hopefully a perspective that I'll bring back to Earth with me. You know, I really love being up here in space. I really love living here and working here, and I think if I could have my friends and family visit, I might just stay forever.
You guys weren't around 50 years ago when Neil Armstrong stepped out onto the moon, and I'm always curious from your perspective up there, how do you view Apollo and the progress that's been made since then?
When we think back to Apollo, we see a generation of people that were motivated by doing something challenging, something bigger than themselves, and something that took an entire nation to come together to achieve. And that's the same force that still drives NASA today, and
Apollo.
That drives us, indeed, even on an individual level here up in the space station.
Apollo.
And certainly drives the teams down on the ground that we work with every day.
Apollo.
So I think looking back, I see that same spirit carried through.
Apollo.
But I see commemorating the 50th anniversary as a way to recommit to that spirit.
Apollo.
A way to recommit to taking on the big challenges. And indeed, that's exactly what we're doing with returning to the moon in 2024, continuing to push the barriers.
Let me ask you guys one last question, and I want to go back to Artemis real quick.
To be able to walk in the footsteps or the spacesuit bootsteps of our heroes.
Great talking to you as well, and we'll see you back Earthside. I launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. It is a really special experience to have the opportunity to represent humankind by living in low Earth orbit. And that's what we're doing in space right now. We are living on the International Space Station in an environment that was never originally designed for humans, or humans were not designed for this environment. And so we live in this, the space station's about 3,500 square feet of livable space. This is what happens when humans are united through a goal of exploration and bettering our communities. This is what we're capable of internationally.
You have the Apollo 11 moon landing.
But you will be up there for the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 lunar landing. Just reflect on what that moment meant to what you're doing now and what it meant for human innovation.
I think at the time it was a moment where the entire world united and stood in awe, observing not only the accomplishments that humanity could do when it came together, but the sheer awe of the celestial aspects of the fact that humans were standing on the moon.
And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder.
It's just extraordinary, real amazing. That is just extraordinary.
I think that it showed us that we, as humans, love to do great things together and to take on great challenges. I remember that same spirit motivates NASA today.
Apollo.
It motivates each of us every single day that we are here on board.
Apollo 11.
We're really looking forward to paying homage to our heroes that have inspired us throughout our lives, those people that were involved in that mission and that made it happen and made it reality.
Apollo 11.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CNN portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from Our State Magazine.
What's it like to look down and see the Earth from a place that maybe you, as a kid, you spend a lot of time looking up from?
That's exactly right. You know, North Carolina was where I was when the sky inspired me to seek the career path that I'm on right now. And now, interestingly, I look down on the place where I'm from and I find inspiration there. When the coastal area of North Carolina kind of came into focus around the horizon the first time I saw it, it did take my breath away, because suddenly the places I called familiar, the places I had seen on a map a million times, picking out where I'm from, the waterways that I would use to find Jacksonville on the map were all there, and they were real. They weren't on a paper map or on a computer screen. They were on the earth, and that was very, very poignant moment for me. One of the things that I wanted to express about that in particular with coastal North Carolina is the ocean is one of the first things that I look to for inspiration, because in addition to the night sky and the beauty of the universe, the ocean is another thing that makes us feel small and ponder our place in the universe and kind of ignites that spirit of wonder and exploration.
Apollo 11.
As astronauts, we always talk about perspective. We have this unique vantage point looking back at the Earth and looking out at our solar system. And a lot of times what strikes me is really throughout the history of humanity how lucky I was and we were to be born at this time when we can explore space. You know, if we had been born 100 years before, we wouldn't be in space. We wouldn't be where we are right now. And so thinking about 50 years, it seems like a long time, but it was just yesterday that we were putting people in space for the first time and putting boots on the moon for the first time.
Apollo 11
was only just over 100 years that we took to flight for the first time. I mean, the last 100 some odd years has been just absolutely incredible in the technology development in flight and in space flight. And I cannot imagine where it's going to be in 50 years. For me personally, I am so proud to hold this baton for the short period that I have it. I want to provide as much as I can to our nation and to our world in space exploration, and then proudly hand that baton to the next person to continue this amazing human endeavor of space exploration.
In ACR, that concludes the event.
Thank you, CNN and Our State Magazine. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.